What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brian here, coming at you with another review of The Mandalorian, Chapter 13, The Jedi. Now, before I get into it, I will discuss chapters 11 and 12 briefly. So 11 is where we see Bo-Katan and Katie Sackhoff as Katie. Bo-Katan is Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. And Sasha Banks is a Mandalorian, and she wasn't Sabine, so I was a little disappointed in that. But overall, that was a great episode. I love the action sequence. You have the guy from Bosch, I can't think of his name right now, cameoing as an Imperial officer, and they have the electric Sinai, the little Palpatine's portable force lightning. Stimulate your senses. But it was a great episode. I love the action. I love Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. Perfect casting. A+ episode. Chapter 12, The Siege. Another great episode. Kind of a sidetrack. Let's go to Navarro, get our ship fixed. And, they have this roller coaster ride. Mithril from the first episode is back. Working off his debt. They go into this Imperial base. They thought it was a forward operating base, but apparently it's the science lab, and we see some freaky experiments, and it has to do with why the Empire wants the child, which is good. I'm glad they kind of kept that in, because that was the whole thing. We're trying to figure out why the Empire wants the child. We're trying to figure that out in season 1. But moving on, great episode, loved it. Loved Baby Yoda back at the ship. Yay! So chapter 13, The Jedi, we meet Ahsoka Tano in live action, and it is fantastic. We don't get some kind of grandiose, entrance. She makes her entrance by, jumping right into the action. She's in this dead forest killing baddies, and I loved every bit of it. A lot of people say they nerfed her, but, I go with a Jedi doesn't always just go full strength, doesn't dominate. They try to be fair. In a way, they play down to their opponents until they, need to, use all the power they can. Obviously, she's not fighting a Sith, but let's move on. So meet her. She's in the Force. She's chasing down this magistrate and has knowledge that she wants. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, she's trying to find a way to find Ezra Bridger. That's what I think it is. But we move on. The Mando comes to town. The magistrate offers the Mando a Beskar spear to kill Ahsoka. He finds Ahsoka in the woods. He doesn't kill her, obviously. He says, Bo-Katan sent me. But they have a nice, quick, epic fight. We learned that Beskar can deflect a lightsaber, which makes sense. They've been teasing that the Mandalorians and the Jedi had a war long ago. It's been teased in Star Wars Rebels. So it makes sense that the Mandalorians will come up with technology and ways to fight the Jedi against their lightsabers and their force powers and all that stuff. So we got a little taste of what that would look like. Then they stop, and then she's like, yeah, I'm curious to talk to you about this one. Which was really cool. So then Ahsoka and the Baby Yoda, the Baba Yoda, they talk in the moonlight. Well, they don't really talk. They kind of just sense each other's thoughts, and then that's when they sit down and they have a discussion, and they say his name is Grogu. So Baby Yoda has a name, and it's Grogu, and I'm indifferent to it because he will always be Baby Yoda. Well, he's a Baby Yoda, if you think about it, because Yoda species is still Yoda species. We haven't defined that. We haven't had a name for that yet. So he is a Baby Yoda named Grogu, and I love it. The name could have been better, but I don't know. I feel like the name was always going to kind of be disappointing. Then we find out that Grogu was a Padawan in the Jedi Temple. I mean, he's 50 years old, but he's still I see him as like a 5-year-old. Like, for every year a human ages, a Yoda species ages that for 10 years. seem as a 5-year-old. He acts like it, right? Um, but in a way, that's kind of, if a 5-year-old child was sensitive in the Force, the Jedi would have taken that 5-year-old human or alien child and taken it to the Jedi Temple. So it makes sense that when he's 1, 2 years, he's strong in the Force. But there's still some backstory there that we need to fill in. And I'm sure they're gonna do that over the rest of the season and future seasons. But moving on. So we find out his name is Grogu. We find out he was a Jedi Padawan. He was in the temple the night of Order 66, and a Jedi hid him away, and the Jedi rescued him. After that, his memories are dark. Doesn't specify dark in what way, like dark in that, was he being experimented on during the rest of the time through the original trilogy timeline, or dark in that he just doesn't remember. He's just kind of been trying to survive on his own, suppress his powers, just be a cute little baba. So that, how do I feel about that? I'm torn, because part of me was like, I love the fact that this is just a Yoda species, no connection to the Jedi. It just shows that the species as itself is very strong in the Force, and that maybe we're gonna get the origins of the species. We're gonna find the Yoda species homeworld. We're gonna get the origins of Baby Yoda. That's what I wanted. I didn't want him to really be connected to the Jedi, because then that implies that we will never find where the Yoda species are, what the name of the species actually is, and that we're not gonna see their homeworld. We're not gonna see where Yoda comes from. We're not gonna meet Yoda species of different types, of different personalities. Do they all speak backwards like Yoda, or is it just Yoda who speaks backwards? We're never gonna solve that answer. At least I don't think we are right now. So that's the only thing about him being a Jedi Padawan that disappointed me. It was that I didn't want that, because I wanted to know more about the species. But I don't hate it. It's just not something I wanted. But I don't hate it. Because maybe there's something to it. Some people have already got to say he's the son of Yoda. Maybe all these years, no one knew Yoda had a little boy with Yaddle. But hey, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Maybe Yoda and Yaddle are the last of their kind, and they have to repopulate. And so Yoda gets a little exception to repopulate with Yaddle, give it a and baby Grogu is born. Yaddle's in the Phantom Menace. She's not in Attack of the Clones, and she's not in Revenge of the Sith. So maybe because he ages differently, maybe Yaddle goes and takes Grogu to their homeworld and raises him there, and then Yoda comes towards the end of the Clone Wars and says, "The boy must become a Jedi. A Jedi, the boy must become." And he takes his son Grogu, while Yaddle just kind of just stays at their homeworld, and and that's how Grogu ended up at the temple. It could be a million different things. He could just be a random Yoda species that was found. He was Force sensitive. He was very strong in his sensitivity to the Force, and they took him in. I'm just spitballing, but I wouldn't mind that Yoda and Yaddle had a boy. Yaddle went to raise him, but Yoda, took him to be a Jedi. But then why would Yoda forget him? Maybe Yoda is the one who saves him. Maybe Yoda saves him when he returns to the temple. Maybe one Jedi hides him from the clone troopers, right? In a little thing, and Yoda's the one, after going to the temple, clearing out troopers, finds Grogu and splits with him. But I doubt it, because doesn't make sense because Yoda never. I mean, I think Yoda would care more about his son than he would about the Skywalkers. Wouldn't you think so? So I find that angle to be more far fetched. I just think he's just a Yoda species that maybe Yoda found on a mission one day and took him into the temple. Simple as that. Not everything has to be super complicated, right? Anyways, moving on. So Ahsoka and the Mando, um, they they go liberate the town, right? Ahsoka does a lot of the damage, and then um, she goes into the magistrate's little palace, and they have a very something out of a samurai movie, which of course is an original inspiration for Star Wars. They have a samurai fight. She doesn't use her full power. She says, "I'm gonna have a fair fight." Obviously, because you know when we see Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, she fights with like her lightsabers. She holds the hilt where the lightsabers go down her arm, um, but she doesn't fight that way until has to get serious. So she definitely takes it easy. And then on the outside, we have the Western type of thing with Michael Biehn. Um, you know, he's like, I'm gonna put down my gun, and he tries to double cross Mando. I guess double cross is a better way to say it. He tries to sneakily shoot Mando, and Mando's quick with the draw, dead. Before that, we saw Ahsoka doing some sort of like horror movie hunting. Like it looked out of a horror movie, which was cool. So yeah, so they liberate the town. Then you know the Mando goes to give the baby Yoda to Ahsoka, and he's just like so heartbroken about having to give the kid away. We walk in and he sees the kid sleeping. He's like, "Kid, you gotta go with Ahsoka," and he's just like, "I just want to sleep that and then we see him getting the baby Yoda ready to take. I kind of call him Grogu. Take him to Ahsoka so Ahsoka could take him to be trained. And he's just like, it's like so heartwarming. That's when Ahsoka says, you know, you're like a father to him. And I don't know. I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they secretly love Baby Yoda memes because everybody makes the memes about Baby Yoda and his dad at Mando. So yeah, but then naturally, I figured that was coming. They're like a father and son, and even Mando sees him as a son. You know, the way he's like, he doesn't really want to give up. Like you can just feel it when you watch the scene. He doesn't want to give up the kid. You know, and he's always like, wherever the I go, the kid goes. So you know. But Ahsoka alters the deal. She says, take him to Tython, so we're recanonizing Tython in the old EU. Tython was the home of all Force users. So Jedi and Sith both came from Tython. A species came and swiped up all the Force-sensitive beings in the galaxy and dumped them on Tython to explore the Force, and that's where you got, you know, your Force Wars and all that stuff, and the first Jedi Schism and the 400 years, like that all occurred on Tython. Now in the EU, Tython becomes this ravaged planet because of all the Force uses that it went through. So all the wars with the Force that it went through between the Jedi and the Sith, it was a ravaged planet, and I'm curious to see how they're gonna canonize it. Will it be ravaged, or will it just be abandoned, like sort of like Octo, where it's just like, yeah, you know, the Jedi had a temple here. You know, I don't know if Tython's gonna be the ancient homeworld of the Force users. You know, but we'll see. We'll see what they hint at in the next episode or the next two episodes. I would like it to be the ancient homeworld of the Force users, and this is where the Jedi Order and The first Dark Jedi had their fights, and it's a war-torn planet, um, and that there are a lot of cool temples and all that stuff on the planet to be explored. So she has to take the baby to a temple, put him on a stone, and he'll choose whether or not he wants to be a Jedi or he wants to continue um, with his daddy Mando. And I'm kind of nervous to see what he picks. Um, Ahsoka says if he reaches out into the Force, a Jedi will sense it and come and pick him up for training. A lot of people think that is to tease a cameo for Luke Skywalker. Stephen Amell. Is it Stephen Amell? I might be for the guy who plays Bucky in Avengers, right? In the MCU. A lot of people say he can pull off a young Luke Skywalker, and I've seen some fan renderings of it, and it's close. It's really close. At the very least, I think you can employ the technology that they did in Rogue One. Remember Rogue One, they brought back Moff Tarkin, with the digital CGI face. They've done the aging in movies, and maybe Mark Hamill's willing to come, but Mark Hamill doesn't have his young boy voice anymore. He doesn't have the voice when he was Luke Skywalker in the 70s and 80s. He's aged. So it really wouldn't be appropriate to use Mark Hamill. Maybe there's a way to voice mix Mark Hamill's voice over Stephen Amell or whoever they use. But like in Rogue One, they brought back Princess Leia with the CGI. That was okay. She only spoke one line. She only spoke the word hope. So that to voice mix Carrie Fisher's voice from that time and just make the word hope, I don't think was that hard. To do that for full on dialogue will be hard. So I don't know how they're gonna play that. And a part of me doesn't want Luke, but part of me does, because I want to know what Luke is up to post Return of the Jedi. We don't really get anything in comics and books and TV and movies. We don't know what he's doing after Return of the Jedi. One would assume at this point he's just trying to, save the galaxy, establish his Jedi Order, whatever. But a part of me does not want Gogru to go with Luke, because we all know how that ends. Unless this is a setup, unless they're using the Mandalorian to set up a redo of the sequels. Unless that is the plan with the Mandalorian. I don't know. I highly doubt it. I think they'll just leave the sequels as they are. I don't see the point in redoing them in any way. But maybe the Mandalorian is that vehicle to do that. But we'll see what happens with that. I'd be excited for Luke Skywalker just to catch him up. But at the same time, you do anything with Skywalker, he steals the show, and now everybody wants to know what's going on with Luke Skywalker. But maybe that could be like a backdoor pilot, as they say, and they'll greenlight a Stephen Amell, Luke Skywalker, or at the very least maybe an animated Luke Skywalker series where we follow him post Return of the Jedi. I would not be opposed to that. So you could work it that way. Maybe Ezra Bridger is back, and both he and Ahsoka are looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn. So maybe Ezra comes back and he meets with the Mando and Gogru. Maybe it's Cal Kestis. We know he's around during the time of the Empire. Maybe, they get the actor, I think it's Cameron Monaghan, to come in and, make his live action debut. And he senses the Baby Yoda, and he goes, and he I don't know. I don't think Gogru is going to be trained as a Jedi. I return to his species, to his mom and dad. Um, I think that should be the plot end of the Mandalorian as a series. The Mandalorian just, he goes off to free Mandalore and become the new Mandalore. Something tells me he's gonna be the new Mandalore, but again, we're getting into predictions that are way off. Um, but yeah, so one of the things I did fail to mention was that Ahsoka was talking to Mando about Grogu, says he has a strong attachment to you. That's why I can't train him, because I've seen what attachment can do to a Jedi. And a lot of people might not buy that and say, well, but from her, yeah, she saw Anakin and everything. Like if there's three people who would beware of Grogu as a Jedi, it would be Ahsoka, it would be Obi-Wan, it would be Yoda. They saw what he did to Anakin, but that's a deeper philosophical conversation about the Jedi and their rules and their ways that I don't want to get into. But yeah, so she has the PTSD of, my master was Darth Vader and he destroyed the Jedi and he brought about the rise of the Empire and he was a killing machine, and yeah, yeah, I'm like afraid to do that with Goku. So I don't blame her there. But overall, this was a great episode. I enjoyed every bit of it. The episodes are still, every episode is different, and I like that. It's its own unique episode. And it builds toward, I think we have two plots running right now. We have Moff Gideon wanting the child for whatever pseudo experiments he's running. We have the Mandalorian trying to reunite Grogu with his people. Right now that seems to be the Jedi, but I think that could turn into, figuring out the mystery of the Yoda species. Those are two plots running along each other right now. But something tells me, just with the New Republic taking interest in from the last episode and what's going on in the Outer Rim, from adding Ahsoka, they're going to bleed into more wide-ranging things. With Grand Admiral Thrawn, with Moff Gideon, and we're gonna see how that plays out. I think it'll play out fine. A lot of people just want this to be self-contained, which I understand. But I don't think it has to lead back to the Skywalkers. But can we get a better understanding of how the First Order comes about by the end of the series or the season? Yes, that doesn't mean it's connected to the Skywalker. It just means, hey, this takes place in a universe where the grander thing is that the Empire is reorganizing into the First Order. That is happening in the background of this universe, and it, can touch on it, in my opinion. But I'll let that be. So yeah, so if you're still not watching The Mandalorian, I don't know what you're doing. If you watched this video, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. I use it as feedback. Let me know what you thought about this episode of The Mandalorian. What you think overall of The Mandalorian? What would you like to? Did you like the name Grogu? Maybe, maybe not. Anything. Definitely open to it. So let me know how you're feeling about this, and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time on the next episode. Reviewing the next episode of The Mandalorian. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.